A list price is a very strategic number. The property may not be ready to be on the market. We've got to make sure that we don't get stuck by an as is term in an order. So when we list a property in a divorce, there are certain things that we want to see in a court order, and there are certain things we don't want to see in a court order. So I'm going to start off with the things that we frequently see in a court order that actually are going to hinder our ability to list and sell the house. So number one is we oftentimes see in an order, it'll say the list price. It'll say the property is to be listed for this price, or it will be listed for this price. It should be reduced by 10% every 30 days or, something like that. Any language in a court order that dictates list price or any price reductions really can hamstring us from being able to be relevant in the market. A list price is a very strategic number, and you can literally be off by $5,000 in one direction or another, and it can either open up the door to an entire buyer pool that will come and see the property, or it can close the door on an entire buyer pool. This is really mainly because of the way that these affiliate sites like Zillow or Trulia or Redfin, when you go search online, a lot of times there's a drop down menu. And when you go to select a price, it'll be, 600,000. You're looking for properties price from 600 to 700,000. If we have listed that property for 595 and the cutoff is 6 to 700,000, then depending on how many people are searching for a home in the $600,000 to $700,000 range, it could significantly impact our visibility. So whatever you select within those brackets is all the buyer's going to see. And we've got to be very strategic, and we've got to know exactly what price brackets is getting the most attention. So that's one thing. Another thing with regards to price is the market is always moving. You can look at it kind of like a stock market. It's always fluctuating. We have to be able to modify the price as necessary. So I really do not like seeing a list price in a court order or any price reductions, anything relative to pricing. That really needs to be something that the listing agent has the input on and the flexibility to maneuver. Another one is the on market date. So we'll get a lot of orders that say the property is to be listed by this date. The problem with that is the property may not be ready to be on the market. I mean, I can tell you, if I have to put 95% of the properties that I list on the market that same week, the value is tanked. Houses in a divorce are not ready to go on the market by and large within a week's time. And so it's important that we have a moment to prep the house, to get the house in market ready condition, because if it's not, it's going to linger on the market longer and it is going to sell for much, much less. So that is another reason why I don't like on market dates in a court order. Lastly, it's important that we do our due diligence in what if we have a title report that comes up that has a lot of issues on the title report, and we need to do a little more fact finding before we can actually put it on the market. So it's really important that we do our homework before we do that. And then the last term that I see in court orders a lot that talks about, these terms that really hinder us is as is. So it'll say that the property is to be listed for sale and sold as is. Well, our clients get really stuck on as is. And when we put a house on the market, let's say it's got an empty swimming pool. All you have to do is stick a hose in that swimming pool to fill it up. But an empty swimming pool is going to result in a buyer not being able to obtain a mortgage. The house won't qualify for a mortgage with an empty swimming pool. So, little things like this, it's really important that we do not limit ourselves by as is. I understand the spirit of it. They don't want, the clients say, well, we have no money to put into the listing. That's okay. Sometimes we can work out things that, a buyer pays for and, whatnot. But we've got to make sure that we don't get stuck by an as is term in an order. So what should go in an order? Well, things that should go in an order are things like real property expenses. Who is going to be responsible for keeping up the mortgage? Who's going to be responsible for keeping up the utilities? If there are repairs and there are advanced costs, who is going to be responsible for that? And will they get paid back? Because we get that question all the time as a listing agent. If I put money into this house, am I going to get that money back? And that sort of thing. So that should be very clear as to who is responsible for these things. Another thing is personal property division. So a lot of times we have the client who left, and they left with a suitcase, and they've got, half the house is still considered theirs. So they need to go back to the house and they need to sort it out. We have to deliver the house vacant, free and clear of all personal property to a buyer. So when is this personal property going to be divided, and when is it going to be retrieved? So that's important that is already addressed in a court order. And lastly, it is proceeds distribution. We have clients who do not know how much money they're getting at the closing. We can provide a net sheet, but who gets what? Not uncommon to see that proceeds goes to a attorney trust account for further division by the court, or that one side has a claim, maybe a separate property claim, or they've got reimbursements and this, that, and the other. And so our clients need to know how much money they're walking away with and when they're going to have access to those funds, because they've got to go establish new housing. So if you really want to see sales sabotage, you really want to see that person who's living in the house seize up and not cooperate with the sale, don't provide clarity on when and how much money they're going to be getting when this thing sells, because they've got to be able to move on and they need access to those funds. So those are the main things that I see in court orders that we should have in a court order. And hope this helps. And if you have any other questions, please let me know. Drop a question in the comments if I didn't make something clear, if you've got another issue related to this. And if you like this information, please hit like and subscribe. See you next time.